Since the 1950s and 1960s, Australians have believed in owning property as the Australian dream. In the 21st century, creating real wealth and financial prosperity through property investment is the future. Welcome to the Great Australian Dream. Okay, so welcome to this week's episode of the Great Australian Dream. I'm your host, Greg Paul from Wealth for Life TV. And today I have with me Ron and Gail from First Choice Conveyancing. So to start off today's episode, I'm going to ask Gail, what is conveyancing?
Conveyancing is doing all the legal work involved in making a property either sell or settle to buy one.
Cool. Well, that sounds like it's pretty important when it comes to property investing to make sure the legal's right.
Of course.
So if someone was going to invest in property, what would be the steps that you would be doing that would help them?
First of all, we'd offer a contract review, which Ron, my husband, would assist with if required. If they're happy with the property and they wish to proceed, we would then receive the contract of sale, see what the terms are. Usually, most contracts, if not bought at auction, are made subject to finance. Finance is a really important issue with purchasing homes, just to make sure that there's adequate time given for the broker to arrange documents for the loan application, and also to have the loan application put through to the bank. Once that area goes through and finance is approved, we liaise with the clients on a one-to-one basis, making sure that we provide a level of service that the customer feels happy with and, more importantly, understands. Conveyancing can be particularly onerous at times because there's certain demands that have to be made on clients to sign a few documents online. It's amazing how many people will go on holiday once they've bought a property and then they're not contactable, and they may be in Thailand that doesn't have access to the internet. So they're the sort of things that when we send out our questionnaire and retainer, we ask these questions: where are you going to be? Are you contactable? Are there any special needs that we need to be aware of? And then once the contract becomes formal and unconditional, we then start the legal process by preparing what is now called a PEXA, Platform and Duties Online. Settlements are all done online now. All the documentation will be prepared online, and the clients then will be asked to go through the documentation once prepared by us and confirm that everything is true and correct, and certify the documents. We then wait for the time to become closer to settlement, and we go ahead and prepare the adjustments if we're acting on behalf of the purchaser. And what that means is we need to contact the authorities, either apply for certificates or get update on certificates to be able to do the adjustments. And the adjustments are very important because what it means is that the purchaser will only pay from the day that they settle through to the end of the financial year or the end of the quarter. With regards to settlement, again, that's done online. Of course, we liaise with the clients if they were moving into a home. They would need to organise a removalist and have everything in place. So they are given a time where we try and meet that time as you can imagine, sometimes it's more than 2 settlements. There may be 4 settlements, there might be buying and selling, so everything has to be coordinated. You'll have maybe 4 banks involved, 4 conveyancers involved, and 4 different people. So that again, we go through that process, and once settlement is affected, we have the delight in making a phone call and telling our clients that settlement is affected and they either own a new block of land or they have a new home.
Good.
$300,000 in 14 months. $200,000 passive income for the rest of your life when you stop working. $200,000 in capital growth over a 2-year period. These are some of the results that our clients have achieved over the last 12 months. We're going to be running some special events in a town, in a city near you over the coming weeks called an Evening with Wealth for Life. Get in the market right now and take advantage of the ride that's about to take place. Go onto our website or call us on 1300 793 877 and make a time to book in and come to one of these events.
We talked a little bit earlier before we came on camera, and you mentioned there was a couple of things that you watch out for when it comes to helping property investors, and a couple of things that you check with to make sure that they're not part of the contract and they're fixed up. But so what are some of the things that you look out for?
Firstly, if there's a contract review required, Ron will do the contract review. Ron's a solicitor, he's also my husband, and our clients get legal advice, not advice from conveyancers, so they do get legal advice, and Ron can tell you a little bit about that.
Well, I really deal with problems as they arise. And the advantage of having lawyers on site, of course, is that we can get onto the problem straight away, deal with the issues. You'd be surprised how many problems occur that come from left field that you're not expecting. There are issues with special conditions. There are issues with interpretations on special conditions. There are concerns sometimes about property measurements or easements, which are encumbrances on property. There may be covenants on title. In some instances there might be a resale so that you get a head contract and then a subservient contract to that, so that the new purchaser, having agreed to the contract, can also be bound to a head contract. And that head contract quite often has a lot of issues in terms of the sort of house that can be built on private land, the dimensions of the house, even the construction material. So there are a few instances there, but don't let me panic you. They're few and far between. Most of the conveyancing we deal with are problem-free. It's just every now and again you get a tricky issue, it crops up, and something that we have to deal with, and our aim is really to get the best outcome for the client. Okay, quite often you've got to get the emotion out of it and deal with it on a purely commercial basis, but that's our impetus. We're always looking to improve and better the position of our client in terms of these issues as they crop up.
Cool.
Yeah. Another thing is finance.
Yep.
We find that finance is a very tricky area. I always suggest to all of our clients that if you're making it subject to finance, make it subject to finance for 2 weeks with any financial institution, because then that at least gives people the option, if they can't get it off one lender, they can ask their broker to go through another lender. Not only that, it's really important, I think, to reiterate that once you sign a contract, you've signed a legal document. If that deposit is due, by 2 weeks' time for the contract to proceed and finance is due, should you not be in a position to meet that date, it is very, very important to contact your conveyancer or your solicitor, whoever you're dealing with, to ensure that they request an extension to the settlement date and also the date that the deposit is due. And that will give you time then to source your finance. But please make sure that you have your deposit monies ready to pay on the due date, because if you don't have your deposit monies on the due date, there could be penalties incurred. So it's our job to make sure that we do the best for our clients, and that is ensuring that we put those requests through if required, or work towards or work with the vendor's representative, hopefully getting an extension without penalties.
Cool. But so I suppose that's important information for an investor to know. And I suppose probably the message that I got earlier talking to you is, rather than the property investor panicking about all these things that could go wrong, the key is to communicate. Absolutely.
Communicate definitely with your broker, your banker, and communicate with us. And another thing, pre-approval isn't approval. Pre-approval is the bank saying, yes, I may lend you the money. So just please make sure that, even though you have pre-approval, it's not your golden egg. You have to make sure that you have finance approval and be able to meet that date. Otherwise, that's where complications set in. And not that we're trying to frighten people from getting finance. What we're trying to do is just bring to people's attention, these are some of the issues that they may come across, and they would be well worth your while doing a little bit of homework, making sure that finance is well on its way. Because bear in mind as well, once you get your finance approval, then your mortgage documents have to be all drawn up. Then you have to get them, sometimes you even have to get a solicitor's certificate, because the banks will say to the lenders, go and see a solicitor, make sure you're aware of the terms and agreements that you're entering into. Then you have to, as I said, the mortgagee will prepare the documents, you sign the documents, and then they have to be certified before they're put up and made readily available for settlement. So there is a process with the bank as well. It's not just get your finance and we can settle. Before we ever contemplating bringing a settlement earlier, we always ensure that your bank is in a position to settle so that you do not incur any penalty interest.
Cool.
Number 1, you want to know how to pay off the mortgage on your home in the fastest possible way. How about understanding and learning how you can become debt-free forever? Imagine paying less tax and having more money going to your pay packet every fortnight. What about securing your financial future in your retirement so you never have to worry and stress about money ever again? These are the things that we go through with you in a one-on-one consultation. Some of the results that we've achieved for our clients by sitting down with us one-on-one, we had one couple who created $300,000 in 14 months. We had another gentleman who's gone on to amass a fortune in real estate that's going to pay him $200,000 per annum for the rest of his life when he stops working. These are just some of the things that come out by sitting down with our advisors in a one-on-one consultation. Get your goal planning and you get your financial planning and your goal setting right in 2019 take advantage of the tremendous opportunities that exist in the Australian property market right now. Call 1300 793 877 or visit wealthforlife.com.au and book an appointment in with one of our investment advisors to get your money right in 2019.
So just so our viewers fully understand, at what point does your job end as the conveyancer, and you as the lawyer? Where does your job start?
My job really only starts if there's a problem, or if there's legal documents to be dealt with. The conveyancers are the ones who run the file.
Yep.
They manage the timeframes, they manage the deadlines, they manage dealing with the other side and the issues. I really only get involved if there's a legal issue or if there's an issue that needs some sort of independent view. And quite often contracts documents in black and white, but as far as the law is concerned, there's not much black and white, it's mostly grey.
Yep.
And I get involved when there's interpretations.
Yep.
We deal with the other side, we deal with arguing the toss over various issues. From time to time, most things are worked out amicably, but that's pretty much where my job starts and ends. It's only when I get called in to help out on a problem. It can be difficult and very, very stressful for clients, but quite often if they know that a lawyer is looking at the problem as well as a conveyancer, then it gives them some comfort. And most of the time we can resolve it pretty to their satisfaction. Not always possible, but we do our best.
Cool. All right. So I suppose the important message that I get from talking to you guys is that you need to have experts in all the different aspects of property and the law and broking and all the other aspects of what you're doing when it comes to investing in property. You're not going to have all the information yourself. So the key points is get the right group of experts working with you and then communicate. That way, the more information that guys like Ron and Gail at First Choice Conveyancing have, the more they can advise you from their own many years of expertise and get the right outcome for you. So thanks Ron and Gail for coming on the show. And
Thank you, Greg.
Thank you. And thanks guys for watching, and we'll see you next week on our next episode of The Great Australian Dream.